Salve, amici, and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at Vergil's second Ecloga, lines 40 through 44. Sorry for the background noise. They're mowing outside and the fridge is going off, and I don't have any other time during the day to do it. Oops. Well, last time in Vergil's Ecloga. Always one. There's the history for us. Here's our rubric, everything that we look for as we go through the text. If I can pick it up. There we go. Let's get started. Praeterea duo, nec tuta mihi, vale reperti, capreoli, sparsis etiam nunc pellibus albo. Bina die siccant ovis ubera, quos tibi servo. Iam pridem a me illos abducere thestulis orat, et faciet coniam sordent tibi munera nostra. There we go. Our very first word is a adverb, which means furthermore, beyond this, praeter, and then ea from is ed. It's a combination of words that's used regularly enough to gain its own meaning. And there's going to be another one of those that we run into in a moment. So I'm going to write down beyond this. He's saying beyond everything that I've already told you that's so great about myself. Then we have duo, but note that we've got this hyphen here, which means we've got a parenthetical going on. So we're going to need to skip beyond this parenthetical to capreoli to even know what the duo is for. Duo is a minimally declined word. We've got duo, duobus, and I don't remember if there's I think there is a third, but it's pretty rare form that it takes case. So this functions both as a nominative and accusative normally. But then as we take a look at capreoli, we've got that I right there, which then tells us that duo and capreoli are going to be nominative plural. But we don't have a verb with them. So then we need to keep looking ahead before we get back to this parenthetical. Sparsis, that's in a verb, etiam nunc. Etiam tells us that this is a new clause altogether, so that means that we can skip this clause also to go further still to find our verb. Our verb. Need to learn how to enunciate. I think I say that every few videos. Bina. Bina is a curious word, which we'll get back to, but it's not a verb, And here we go. Finally, siccant. Nt right there for the third person, plural, present tense, active, and indicative. From sicco, siccare. Yeah, I think so. And that means to milk or to dry up. But since we're talking about capreoli, and I probably should have said capreoli, they can mean roebucks, which is a type of deer, or it can mean like a wild goat kid. But anyway, so that word with siccant means to nurse. There we go. Almost said bottle feed, because I raised goats and we fed them by bottle. So anyway, not bottle feed, but nursing. And what are they nursing? Well, we need a direct object, which we find with ubera, with that a right there. This is uberum, I think, is the nominative singular. So that's going to be an accusative plural neuter, and it means utters. Taking a look back at bina. Bina with that a is going to match ubera, and bina is a curious word as it is a plural only form. So we've got bini, binai, bina, and then of course the rest of the plural declension endings, and it just means twice or by two. And with ubera, and we're talking about capreoli from a caper, either a deer or a goat. 2 is the correct number. And then we take a look at ovis, and it's actually not a capriola, not a capera, but we have a sheep with is genitive singular, and this is going to be feminine, owning the ubera. And then da in this clause is the last word that we need to take a look at, and this is from dies. So we have a ablative singular, and it's functioning as time. So I think this is actually going to be masculine. And this is just telling us time when. Beyond this, 2 roebucks, 2 wild goat kids, nurse 2 udders of a sheep at day, is what this clause means. But I can't actually write that down until we get to the parenthetical and this other clause right here. Let's go to the parenthetical. Neck, according to the green and yellow, this is functioning effectively as a noun. Tuta is a curious word. It's from, I think, tu te or tu e or, a very unusual word, and it means to watch or to care for. And we've got this a right there, which means we've either got an accusative plural, neuter, or nominative plural, neuter, or a nominative singular feminine, ablative singular feminine of the 4th principal part, so the perfect passive participle. And then we've got mihi, and mihi is, of course, a dative. There goes saying of course again, and singular referring back to Corydon, and in this case it's going to be masculine, even though it's common, but we know it's referring to him, and that's important. Then wale is a ablative singular feminine, walis, walis, and then reperti with that I is going to be nominative plural masculine, and this is also a perfect passive participle. And it's referring back to caprioli. This is from reperio. So it's a 4th conjugation. But back to tuta. Tuta can't refer to be wrong form, also feminine. It could refer to wale as the ablative modifying the wale, but that doesn't make much sense. Nor to me, having been watched, valley, they haven't been found, rediscovered. Well, that makes no sense at all. Tuta can't really go with wale. So then you look down further into the possible meanings of tuta, and tuta has an accustomed use, kind of like praeteria, and it means without danger. So having been watched, so that's having been protected. If you're being watched, then that means you're in danger. But if you are having been watched with a past look at it, and then you survived, then that means you did whatever it was without danger. And then the neck negates that. It's really curious. But then why is it an A? You'd think that it would be in the same case, number, and gender as Corydon. So then we would expect, well, not necessarily dative, but we would expect an ablative, having been found by me, and then that would be tuto. Well, what I think is actually going on here is we do have a long A, and tuta is referring to an assumed word, a word that the reader, the Latin reader, would understand. What is there that is under danger when one is going into valleys to having been found again, the caprioli? Well, one's life, and that would be anima, which is feminine. So I think this is an ablative singular feminine and a perfect passive participle referring to Corydon's life. So then it would be, nor without danger to me in a valley, they having been found. I'm going to, well, actually, we should handle sparsis before I write the whole thing out. Then I can just cut the entire section out. Sparsis etiam, also nunc. When you have etiam nunc, you can say still now. It's the same idea. But sparsis, we've got the is right there, and that's going to be a dative or ablative plural. And this is going to be from spargo. Spargo, spargere, sparsi, sparsum. And it means to be scattered, to be strewn about like seed, or it can be speckled, which I'll get to in a minute. Pelibus, we've got ibus right there for another ablative, dative or ablative plural, and this one means skin. or it can mean leather, like what one makes out of clothes out of. And then the other option is neck. Well, we've got two caprioli, so then plural pelibus makes sense. And the necks, because that would be what it's referring to on them, they're speckled, but what are they speckled with? Why, with albo. Got that O right there for an ablative, singular, neuter. And that's just going to be referring to like little white spots. So then, this would also have to be ablative, because it's an ablative describing the caprioli. It's not a dative for any reason. It's not indirect object. It's not advantage. It's just the caprioli with speckled necks, which are in turn with white, and white intending to understand spots. So then, this is ablative, plural, masculine, perfect, passive participle as well. But to explain why he adds this in, is he's just telling to Alexis what is important about these kids. The type of animal, whether it is a wild deer or some sort of wild goat kid, according to the green and yellow, in that area is a animal like the fawns that we get in the U.S. that have white spots. In this case, it's on their necks, but they only have the white spots in their coat until they're about 6 months old. So what Cordon is saying is, I have these 2 6-month-old caprioli, which is a very nice thing. You could, is it veal? Possibly something along veal is what he could be intending here, or maybe they could be the start of a new herd. I'm not sure exactly why he is saying they're all that great, but there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and write down all the way to Ubera, and I'll catch you in a moment. And welcome back. One thing that I forgot to note is that we've got the goat kids and the sheep. He would be putting them with a sheep who recently gave birth so that she would adopt them as her own kids. Not always an easy prospect, because often animals will reject any baby thing that doesn't smell like them. But it's sheep because he has sheep as his primary flock. We also know he has goats, so I don't know why Vergil writes him putting him with the sheep. Maybe sheep are just dumb enough to accept anything. We never had to do anything like that, so I don't know. Anyway, quos to finish off this part of it, from qui quae quod, we have an accusative, plural, masculine, and it's going to be referring back to caprioli. Tibi is our corresponding dative, singular, common, to the mihi, now referring to Alexis, and then servo, we have our omega, not omicron or omega, this is Latin, but our first singular, present tense, active, and indicative verb, and this means to keep, to guard, to protect. The idea here being hold on to for somebody else, which is exactly what we've got going on with this indirect object. In this case, I think we can say a dative of advantage, because, yeah, these are 2 young goats that Cordon is keeping for Alexis, either to be used as sacrifice, which they would eat, or as a start of Alexis's own herd, though since Alexis is a house slave, I don't think so. Probably for a sacrifice. And now we get to the turnaround of events. Yam, already, or now, pridem. Pridem is an adverb that means long ago. I think I'm going to go with already, since we're talking about a previous time, and it wouldn't be at this moment. Instead, nunc might be a better fit for that. Ame, prepositional phrase, plus the ablative, singular, still referring to Cordon. Illos, omicron, sigma with quos and caprioli. Working on saying, of course, less. Sorry. Accusative, plural, masculine from ille, illa, illud. Abducere, so we have an re there for a present active infinitive of this would be abduco, abducere, a third conjugation. And then here we have Thestalis again, with an IS. If you recall, Thestalis we had, let's see, my notes say back at line 10, Thestalis is from the Greek name, at least my supposition was this. And it means, the name means a callous bondsman. However, in looking at the green and yellow notes on this, whoever wrote that put a feminine pronoun with a verb that will go with Thestalis in a moment, and the notes. And so I think the Cambridge thinks that Thestalis is actually a woman, which surprised me. I have no clue. In the Latin, we just got the is as the ending. So in the Greek, it might not be Thestalos, but it might be Thestale or Thestala, in which case we have callous bondswoman. Callous just mean like rough hands. If you recall, Thestalis appears to be something like an apothecary. So he or she prepares herbs for the sick, poultices for the sick, and these goats, again, could serve as sacrifice or could serve as a supplement to a herd. Anyway, Thestalis, what's Thestalis doing? Our nominative, singular, I don't know, masculine or feminine at this point. Orat, AT right there for third, singular, oro, orare, so it's a first conjugation, therefore present tense, active, and not subjunctive, indicative. And oro means to beg, to pray for. So already, long ago, Thestalis begs, so we've got a present historic here to bring the reader, or bring really Alexis deeper into the story, so that he can feel Thestalis begging right now, abducere, to lead away, Ilos, the caprioli, from me. There's just one problem, Corydon. Pridam? You found them in the valley. They still have white spots, which means they're under 6 months old. But long ago, Thestalis asked for them? There's only two possibilities. One, Thestalis is prophetic and so asked, well, before Corydon even found him. Two, Corydon's lying to make Alexis feel bad, and Thestalis did not. And they're still young and white. That'd be a hard thing to lie about. Anyway, there you go. We already know that Corydon he's not a bloviator, but he certainly puffs himself up and is therefore not beyond fabricating things. Moving on. At faciet, we've got the E, T right there. Note also still the I in the stem. This is from facio, facere, feci, factum. So we've got the A in there, tells us that this is still the present tense stem. And this is a third IO irregular, which means that with the E, we have a future tense. If it were the subjunctive, then it would be faciat. With the ia, we beat a giant and all that. So, third, singular, future, active, indicative. And this is where the green and yellow says that she. So there are two possible ways of understanding that. Either the she refers to the sheep, which doesn't make any sense. So, no. So the Thestalis is really the only option. I don't know whether or not the green and yellow is right. As in, he or she will actually lead them away. Corydon's not going to hold on to them anymore since Alexis is turning him down at every turn. Though, probably Alexis has no idea what's going on. Quoniam, because or that. Yeah, it's going to be because. You have sordent, nt right there for the third, singular, sordeo. So it's a second conjugation, present tense, active, indicative. We get the word sordid from this. So despised, unclean, mean, as in lowly, undervalued, unworthless. Plural tells us that it's going to be the caprioli again. Tibi with same right there. In this case, a dative of wouldn't be dative of advantage. They are worthless. I think this is just a indirect. No, it is a dative of reference, because that doesn't necessarily have to take an indirect object. But anyway, worthless to you. So this is going to be a cause right there. But what specific type of they? Well, munera nostra, these two go together, this is going to be a word that doesn't match the case number gender of caprioli because it is its own noun. So the caprioli have ceased to be little goats, but they have now become plural munus, and that means either, well, not either. There are too many for either to work. Offices, duties, employments, yeah, none of those. But gifts and presents are another option for munera, and in that case, I think that is what munera refers to. So I have these for you. You refuse them, therefore Thestilis gets them. Okay, there we have it. Let's take a look at it from the beginning. Not from the beginning, from its context. Beyond this, two, not without danger to me, in the valley, they having been discovered, roebucks with speckled or sprinkled necks, still now with white, two udders nurse at day of a sheep, whom for you I am keeping. Already long ago from me those to lead away Thestilis pleads, and Thestilis will, because to you our gifts are worthless. The royal we there. Maybe he's including Thestilis? I don't know. Or the sheep? I don't know. Well, there we have it. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope taking a look at this has been helpful for you, and I hope that you have a very good day. Wale.